Going and fighting Russia on behalf of what they're doing to the Ukrainian people is more of a worthy cause than Iraq and Afghanistan put together.
Why?
Because the killing of innocent people, because the killing of the terror, like, I mean, the Russians are surrounding these towns, allowing these people to, just waiting for them to starve. I mean, it is a humanitarian crisis, and they're doing this on purpose. I mean, we can't sit back and watch innocent people at this level be targeted by a first world country like this.
Dakota,
an unprovoked invasion. At what point do we allow this to go on? It's one thing to sit over here and stand with Kiev or stand with Ukraine and not be there. It's another to stand in Ukraine. You know, look, we worked on the border of Poland and Ukraine. We also went further past Lviv. We had part of our team went into Kiev, you know, and to coordinate high compromised rescues and evacuations. And let me tell you, this is second to nothing I've ever seen. The atrocity here and the targeting of civilian targets that Russia's doing is horrific, and you know, it's really bad.
I mean, hold on. To say second to none, considering what you've seen, if people understand what you went through to get the Medal of Honor, that's saying something. And you're saying this is next level.
Yeah, I mean, there is just no discrimination to targeting civilians, right? I mean, look, you know, obviously there's collateral damage in any type of war, and it's understandable. It's heartbreaking that that's part of it, but just the sheer terror that Putin is trying to put inside of the Ukrainian people, and not even worrying about, you know, the optics of it, not even trying to make it look good, right? Just the indiscriminately shelling of civilian targets, the killing of people who are in lines to receive humanitarian aid. You know, our team was going in and running some of the missions, and, you know, driving by at these checkpoints, you know, civilian vehicles still smoldering with the civilians sitting inside those vehicles. I mean, it is, and just, you know, the Russian troops surrounding these cities, not letting people evacuate who have nothing to do with it. There's, you know, the strategy is not to stick to, you know, military targets. The strategy is to stick to military targets and then turn around and kill these innocent civilians in order to try to turn them over and make them feared so much that they give up, because he knows that that's the only way, the only chance he has of taking over Ukraine is by getting the civilians to quit, breaking their will and their sheer will to defend their country.
You're such an interesting guest because you have this, you're there for humanitarian reasons, but you have this extensive military experience. You heard today Zelensky say it's time to talk, it's time to meet. You know, it sounds like he wants to make a negotiation work out. At the same time, General David Perkins saying that Putin is desperate, and desperate people do desperate things. Jennifer Griffin reporting that, you know, the Defense Intel Agency is saying that Moscow is relying more on threats of nuclear weapons. Where do you think this goes? Should the Ukrainians continue fighting until the end here, or do you think the best solution is to try and find some sort of negotiation, or do you think that's just too far gone, that's not going to happen?
Well, you know, I don't know, right? I mean, look, I think it goes one or two ways. I think in the next couple of weeks, you're going to see a ceasefire, right? They're going to come. I think Zelensky's going to probably have to give up some ground, as Pete was just talking about. I think Putin's really having to come to a realization of he's at a crossroad that, look, I'm not going to be able to get all this. You know, do I take what I can get, or do I go all in? And you know, that really comes down to, you know, trying to predict what insanity does is a really hard thing to do. But I think for us, I think that, you know, Ukraine, either they come to a ceasefire in the next couple of weeks, and then, you know, they give up some land. You know, I think that, you know, you're seeing Zelensky say that he's not going to join NATO because I think he's realizing that no one is coming to help him, which is terrible. So I think it goes to that, or I think, you know, in a couple of weeks, that if it doesn't stop, that I think that the world leaders are going to have to come together, and they're going to have to deal with Russia.
You know, Dakota, I'm so glad that Pete set the stage by letting the audience know, those that weren't familiar with your service, the type of wars that you've been in before, what you did for those Marines as well that got you the Medal of Honor. You were on my show before you went out there to see what was going on in Ukraine. So I just got to ask you, what is your position, and what do you think the position of the U.S. should be now that you've gone there on the ground to see what's happening?
Yeah, I'll say this up front. I was wrong. I was wrong on every show that I went on. That strategically, for us not to get involved in this war, I think I was still 100% correct on that. But I think that the moral obligation that we have as the leaders of the free world, I think that if we stand by and let this go on much longer, I think we leave a presence that across the globe that the secondary and tertiary reactions of that says that, hey, we're going to stand by, we're going to allow you to kill innocent civilians, we're going to allow you to kill people who are not involved in this, who are just caught in the crossfire, and target them without doing anything. I think that that's not going to be a good thing for us, and I don't think it's going to be a good thing for the globe. And so, you know, look, I was 100% against it, but I'll just leave it at this. I'm not, by no means am I advocating for war. But especially, I think the true aspect that holds me back on this is the leadership inside the United States. If I could trust the leadership of this administration to go in and to strategically follow through with being ruthless and allowing our service, allowing our military, the most powerful thing on the globe, to go in and do its job, I would be all about sending them today. But there's so many aspects to the weakness of this administration and not being able to trust what their intentions are and that they're going to go ahead and follow through with this, that's the holdback. But outside of that, I'll leave it at this statement, that going and fighting Russia on behalf of what they're doing to the Ukrainian people is more of a worthy cause than Iraq and Afghanistan put together.
Why? It's so fascinating.
Because the killing of innocent people, because the killing of the terror, like, I mean, the Russians are surrounding these towns, allowing these people just waiting for them to starve. I mean, it is a humanitarian crisis, and they're doing this on purpose. I mean, we can't sit back and watch innocent people at this level be targeted by a first world country like this.
Dakota,
an unprovoked invasion. At what point do we allow this to go on?
I got to get you to respond to this, because this is some of the propaganda that's been coming out from Russia, and they've said that the citizens that are there, that they're letting them go out, but the soldiers are using the humans and the citizens as shields. Did you see any of that when you were on the ground?
No, I didn't see any of that. I mean, we've seen all the checkpoints out. Most of the fighting was on the east side of Kiev, on the east side of the river. You know, they had the east side surrounded. You could come in through the western side. I didn't see any of that. I mean, you know, look, I mean, at what point are you going to start believing Russia, though?
That's exactly right.
Dakota, Meyer, if we had only had more people in positions of power willing to say, I was wrong, we can, and let's adjust, we'd be in a much better place across the board, and we appreciate the authenticity of your message this morning and the balance that we as Americans have.
Fascinating.
Yeah, look, it's one thing. It's one thing to sit over here and stand with Kiev or stand with Ukraine and not be there. It's another to stand in Ukraine.